What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is Friday, January 20th, and we are now at off-season week number 2 for the Washington Commanders, and it is now the divisional round of the playoffs. Super wild card weekend was absolutely glorious for so many ways, and as much as I enjoyed every bit of that football being played, I am filled with jealousy, envy, and rage because not only do I wish we had one of these young quarterbacks playing or one of these innovative coaches playing, we have to sit back and watch our enemies thriving, living their best life, going on and just prospering in front of all of us. 3 of the 4 remaining teams in the NFC are our goddamn division rivals, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants. Good for you guys, man. Hopefully next year we'll join in the mix and we'll participate in wild card weekend in the NFL playoffs. But y'all haven't heard much from me this week. Your boy's been on IR, been on the injury list with the flu this week. I have flu B, which is also quite contagious. So I've been confined within the 4 walls of my room all week, trying to get better, drinking some Canada Dry because, for black people, we treat it like it's the ultimate elixir. It can cure anything. We treat Canada Dry with the same strength that the heart-shaped herb gives the Black Panther. Word to Forrest Whitaker. If you know, you know. But it's off-season week number 2 for Washington. And this team, the off-season feels like the regular season because there's as much to talk about when games are not being played than when they are being played here. And we have a huge off-season underway. Things are moving on the sale front. We're going to hit on that in a second because there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to that. And I think the favorite to buy the team may be the person that we always thought was the favorite to buy the team. And the reason that there's been inactivity involving that person may be the biggest indicator of why he may still be the favorite after everything else. But let's start with the main thing here in Washington. And I'm not talking about the quarterback position. Our main objective right now is find an offensive coordinator. We fired Scott Turner, who was fucking garbage and deserves no defense of why he was fired. Yes, I agree in a way. Offensive coordinators do get scapegoated. But that was a very deserving firing. Scott Turner is terrible. Guys across the country who cover teams in the Midwest can tell you that Scott Turner's scheme is not it. And even Greg Olson, when he calls games on Fox, says that Scott likes to play the smartest guy in the room thing a little bit too much to his detriment. But the offensive coordinator position, Ron and Mayhew are going on a world tour of due diligence and thorough vetting. I'm going to clap it up because they didn't just do the lazy, I'm going to promote Ken Zampese thing, or the lazy, I worked with you in Carolina thing and call up Mike Shula, who's currently an assistant on the Buffalo Bills coaching staff. They're actually vetting and casting their net far and wide for competent football minds, offensive minds, and not just experienced quarterback developing offensive coordinators. They're actually looking at guys who are up-and-comers, guys who are going to eventually get a head coaching shot. The Thomas Browns from the Los Angeles Rams, the Charles Londons of the Atlanta Falcons, Eric Stuttsville of the Miami Dolphins. They're doing a good job. And they also shot their shot at 2 guys that they probably had no chance of getting, Jim Caldwell and Darrell Bevell. Caldwell was like, I'm still looking for head coaching jobs. And Darrell Bevell said, yeah, I'm going to stay here with my competent organization until something better opens up. But I'm good, love. Enjoy. They hit us with the future. I'm good, love. Enjoy. It happens, man. Ron's in a tough position. He's in a tough position because he's put himself in a tough position based on the hirings and the player evaluation and development that he's put himself in here because he's been in charge of all of it. But he's not in a spot where we can just get anyone we want. This offensive coordinator position here in Washington, it's more of a who will accept the job more so than who does Washington want to take the job. You know, it's definitely more of a who will take the job situation. But I like some of the candidates they're interviewing. So far, they've interviewed our quarterback's coach, Ken Zampese, which we knew was going to happen. They interviewed Charles London yesterday. They'll be interviewing They've requested to interview Thomas Brown next week. They'll be interviewing Eric Stootsville on Monday. And I imagine after the Ravens and Greg Roman just parted ways, that Greg Roman would automatically shoot up to the top of the list of people Ron wants to interview for this position. Because if there's anything I know about Greg Roman, he can scheme up a fucking rushing attack. This guy has led multiple top 5, even top 3 rushing attacks. I know the main thing there is going to be, well, he did have Lamar Jackson. I've seen him scheme it up for Alex Smith. I've seen him scheme it up for Colin Kaepernick, and we've seen him scheme it up for Lamar Jackson. And he schemed it up to a good point with Tyler Snoop Huntley as well. The offense obviously took a dip because Lamar Jackson's one of the most electrifying players in the history of the league. He's the most athletic guy we've ever seen at the position. So obviously your offense is going to take a huge dip. But Greg Roman, for many reasons, is someone who's going to jump to the front of the line here because, well, at least on Ron's wish list. Greg Roman probably has better options than Washington. But Ron in this bullshit, I want a 2-to-1 run-to-pass ratio is definitely something I could see him fiending for in Greg Roman. And Sam Howell is not half the athlete that Lamar Jackson is, but that boy can run. He can scoot, and a priority in whatever offensive coordinator we bring in here is one that can weaponize and prioritize Sam Howell's athleticism. You know, using the players to the best of their strengths and not trying to pigeonhole them and put a square into a round hole like Coach Ego usually does in this league. You know how we play Taylor Heineke and just absolutely forget he has legs? You know, coach to the strength of your players. If Sam Howell's going to be the guy for us in 2023, this could be a 1-year rental position. We might as well get a guy who knows how to scheme up and work an offense around a young, athletic quarterback. Is that saying force him to run all the time? No. Like, there's a very fine ability to how Daboll coaches the Giants. What he does with Daniel Jones is absolutely masterful because they don't overdo running Daniel Jones. They do it and they sprinkle it in just enough that you won't forget that he's mobile. They don't overdo it, but they give it to you enough to make you realize, shit, this motherfucker can run the football. He's a dual threat. We need that here in Washington because the main theme I took away from Wild Card Weekend, coaching fucking matters. Coaching matters. The Giants are probably one of the talent deficient teams in the postseason, but they are so well coached on both sides of the ball, and they have a well-running front office with Joe Shane and that triumvirate of Joe Shane, Wink Martindale, and Brian Daboll. That is perfect. That's why in 1 year, they've been able to accomplish what Washington hasn't done in 3 years under Ron Rivera. And you can throw away the notion of it takes 3 to 5 years to build a culture. That is bullshit. This is not the fucking military. This is a football team. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Giants for reference. But interviews so far, Ken Zampese, Pat Shurmur. I'm more interested in London, Brown, Studesville, or maybe if Greg Roman comes into the mix. And there's a name I also want thrown in the mix as well. Byron Leftwich. People are going to say, Why would you want Byron Leftwich? He just got fired. Remember how we said Scott Turner wasn't the scapegoat here? Byron Leftwich is 1,000% the scapegoat in Tampa. We're talking about an offensive coordinator who, in points per game, had Tampa as the third-ranked offense, the second-ranked offense. And then in 2022, when the offensive line went to hell, to the injury hell, and Brady is absolute cooked rotisserie style. He's cooked. So cooked Brady in no offensive line, the offense falls to 25th in scoring. Under 20 a game. Their offense turned into the Washington offense this year because Brady's fucking fried and that line sucks and the receivers forgot how to catch the ball. We're going to put all that on Byron Leftwich, despite the fact that he's had the offense cooking since Jameis was there. Don't do that. Don't let cooked Brady convince you that Byron Leftwich can't call a formidable offense in this league. Byron Leftwich actually is a more qualified candidate than a lot of these guys on the market right now. But we're not going to go there at the moment. But Byron Leftwich should be getting a fucking phone call. If you know, you know. And like my boy Jalen from Bleeding BNG told us the other day in the group chat, don't forget where playoff Lenny Fournette started. It started in Byron Leftwich's scheme. Talk to him nice and put some respect on the body of work he's put in as an OC in Tampa Bay. He should be a name we definitely consider. But let's talk some sale. Let's talk some Washington Commanders sale news. Jeff Bezos didn't put in a bid in the first round of sales. Todd Bowley of the alleged Clear Lake Capital Group that bought Chelsea, he's apparently buying out. And Josh Harris, just like in the Broncos mix, under the first batch of bids, Josh Harris is one of the preliminary favorites. Does it mean he's getting the team? Fuck no. Does it mean he's a serious candidate and someone I would actually like to buy the team? Absolutely. He has ownership experience with the Sixers, Crystal Palace in the Premier League, the Cleveland Guardians, the New Jersey Devils. The guy has experience in ownership. And he's willing to shell out whatever it takes and also get the fuck out of the way and let the owner take care of business. He's all about value. But before we get into him specifically, let's talk about this idea that Dan may not be selling a full stake of the team. Dan is 100% selling this team. The league is about to air his ass out. And like my boy Marshall in the group chat at EST Command on Twitter, he said the league may be expediting this sale process so Dan can get out in front of the Mary Jo White investigation, because you can't duck the smoke and duck subpoenas and duck your business and skeletons being aired out to these streets. You can't duck it forever. So the NFL may be letting him get his ducks in a row and get this sale complete before so. So when they say sale is imminent, sale is happening soon, that means before the end of March soon. That does not mean in the next couple weeks soon, but I think they're going to start putting names to bid soon. But the biggest cloud and elephant in the room of all of this is still Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Do not think that because that man did not put his name in the bidding for this team on the first round in December that he's out. Honestly, that could be the biggest indicator that he's all in, because his people have no reason to deny or say, we're not interested in the team. They would just come out and say, no, we're not putting in a bid for the team. The Denver Broncos sell. You know who did not put in a bid initially for the team? The Walton family. Rob Walton, who eventually got the team. You want to know why? Because when you're the biggest fish in the pond, when you're the 11th richest person in the world, talking about the Waltons, Bezos is the richest motherfucker in the world, you don't have to throw your hat in the ring with the peasants. You can let them go set the market. Because even though you have the money, why are you going to go sit and throw $8 million out there while people are still talking about 6.3. Snyder hasn't even got a bid of $7 billion yet. So what that tells me is that all Bezos has to do when this shit is really starting to get rolling and they're ready to submit a bid to the owners to vote on it in the next owners meeting, all Jeff has to do is come in and say $7.2 billion for the team. And the process is fucking over right there because he's going to get voted in. It's that simple. He's that rich. He's the richest person in the world. He does not have to make a bid for the team until it's over. He can literally come in just like the Waltons did. And it sounds nice to say Dan wouldn't sell it to him because Dan is in control because he's in 100% ownership of this team. But the league is not turning down a sale of its fucking franchise. It's not going to turn down the largest sale in sports American history because Dan doesn't want to sell to the guy who owns the paper that he hates. It's not going to happen. And one of the biggest issues as to why these billionaires are having trouble putting up so much money for this is because once you get the team, your first matter of business as soon as you touch foot is to figure out the new stadium situation. The new state-of-the-art $3 to $4 billion SoFi East style Superdome that the Commanders and that Snyder wanted to work on. But the biggest thing in that is that his name is the one thing hindering the stadium being built. The stadium is on the table for all of the DMV, and I imagine a bidding war will take place once someone takes ownership other than Daniel Snyder. DC, Maryland, and Virginia all are going to bust it wide open to get a piece of that stadium. Commanders City. You know who wouldn't have a fucking problem in this world putting together funds, infrastructure, and a business model to get a new stadium built immediately? Jeff motherfucking Bezos. So this shit right now is playing out exactly how this guy wanted it to play out. Exactly how he wanted it to play out. Because we're getting close and he hasn't even put a bid in yet. So his first bid is probably going to be his only bid. And Josh Harris was the runner-up for the Denver Broncos. He pulled out because he said, this is my final offer, 4.6 or 4.5 billion, and take it or leave it. You got to tell me the team is mine or I'm out because I'm not going one-on-one, mano-a-mano versus the fucking Walmart family. Because there ain't no chance in hell that shit is taking place. But ultimately, Bezos or no Bezos, Josh Harris or no Josh Harris, Clear Lake Capital Group, whoever the fuck it is, every human billionaire in this world is better than Dan Snyder. And anyone who comes in will be a marginal and significant upgrade from Daniel Nasty Boy Dweeb Snyder. The nastiest of boys. Dan Snyder. Kick fucking rocks. You are not allowed to own any percentage of this football team anymore. We are going to throw a parade, orgies in the streets of the DMV when you sell this team. That is how happy as a fan base we are. And even the thought and notion that you're going to be vanquished and exiled into obscurity with your billions of dollars. Take that shit. Hop on your jet, your yacht, however the fuck you feel like it. Go to the UK, never return to the US again. And thank you, but no thank you for everything you did to this respected and storied franchise over the last 23 years. That's all I got on the Commanders right now. Ownership news, OC news to come. Probably is going to be connected to a bunch of quarterback whispers in the Derek Carr, Garoppolo, all that shit, all that mix. You know, the faux QB World Tour is coming. You know it's Sam Howell season. Hashtag Howell 2023. We're going to make it a movement, and we're going to have Howell 23 merch coming soon on the channel. Divisional round picks. Chiefs over the Jags. Eagles over the Giants in a close one. Niners over the Cowboys, please God. And upset special, Cincinnati Bengals over the Buffalo Bills. So we get the Chiefs Bengals AFC Championship rematch, and we get Philly versus San Francisco in the NFC. Upset special in Buffalo, Orchard Park this week. I feel it. Joe Burrow is an animal, and Joe Burrow, in case people forget, he's like, I'm that name that's right next to Mahomes and Allen. So talk to me fucking nice. Buffalo plays with their food too much, and I think that they do not want to do that with the Cincinnati Bengals. But also shout out to assistant coaches, Travell Wharton and Ryan Kerrigan, assistant O-line and D-line coaches. They're going to be working the Senior Bowl, so they get an up-close and personal look in scouting advantage. Draft prospects coming out because the Senior Bowl is the first big draft event of the season. Speaking of draft season, I'm having my favorite draft analyst on next Tuesday, Matt Miller from ESPN, coming on to talk QB class, how Sam Howell stacks up to this year's QB class, next year's QB class, and the tackle and cornerback class. We are in full draft season, and we are in Washington Commanders' time to thrive, which is the off-season. It is the time where Sundays are not here to humble us with defeating losses. It is the time for optimism. It is the time to fantasize about greener pastures and better days for our team. This is my weekly Washington Commanders check-in. It's your boy Rio. Deuces.